Jujutsu Kaisen has shocked everyone, but for all the wrong reasons. The ending has made fans crash out, and I have to break down this train wreck step by step. Not only has Disney Kaisen officially become real, Prime Yuji promises to stay alive for the next 300 years to destroy cursed spirits, and then just eats out the story. And then we have Dabura was Mahoraga. Yeah, it didn't even get a conclusion. However, I'm gonna give you some copium because there's still 2 more chapters, and this all feels like a setup for another sequel, as the entire power system has changed thanks to Yuji and Maru. Chapter 23 begins with Yuji breaking down how the plan won't work. Yeah, previously they agreed to remove cursed energy, ending the system at its roots, but Yuji realizes there's a flaw. Cursed spirits would still exist. Why? Well, because Maru's proposal was centered on Japan. Japan is the epicenter of cursed energy due to Tengen's barriers and the historical concentration of sorcerers. But that doesn't mean the rest of the world is empty. Overseas population still emits cursed energy, and cursed spirits are born from this accumulation. Even faint negativity, when pooled over time, can take form. Most of the time that results in low-grade curses, but occasionally when enough weak energy gathers in one place, something stronger can manifest. An example of this is Ganesha, who Kenjaku used against Yuki, and it was a special grade Asian divine curse. Kenny also used it against the United States when he brought it into the White House just to prove a point. That they and curses surpass military power. The world's strongest military force was helpless against it. Ganesh used the curse technique tied to removing obstacles, and in an instant they were teleported outside the building and rained down from the sky. Gege also stated that Angel is meant to be Middle Eastern, hence the technique of Jacob's ladder, and of course we know Miguel is from Kenya. So essentially this proves Yuji's point that their plan is in fact flawed. And what makes things worse is the public announcement 70 years ago, where the world was told that curses exist in Tokyo. It had created a pathway for curse energy from abroad to flow all the way into Japan. As explained in chapter 12, the barrier system limited the leakage of curse energy to Tokyo area. But think about what happens when the entire world is told curses exist there. Even if the output is weak, collective belief can amplify cursed energy. As a result, we see a dark continent panel of all the different cursed spirits that had accumulated, which means all those foreigners that leak out those little tiny cursed energy will go back to Tokyo and eventually still form a cursed spirit. So the only true solution would be removing cursed energy from all of humanity. But the next question is whether that's realistically possible, because Yuji takes it a step further. Maru's harmony technique can only alter the soul to restrict how much cursed energy a person leaks, not remove it completely. Meaning, the Japanese would simply become like the people abroad. This is because Maru cannot do anything that will cause harm. Yuji points out that without the metabolism of cursed energy, a person's body will be in danger, as it's a natural part of the human karmic cycle. It's quite comparable to sweating. If you remove that functionality, you're baked. The only people who exist without cursed energy entirely are those with heavenly restriction, but they were born that way, and in exchange they gained enhanced physical bodies capable of handling that imbalance. So if you completely suppress cursed energy in normal humans without some enhancement, their bodies will suffer. That means all they are really doing is just significantly decreasing the number of cursed spirits, not completely removing them. And if that happens, the world is absolutely cooked. The earth would be in greater danger, because just imagine a world where cursed spirits still exist, but no one is strong enough to defeat them, as everyone is just a regular human. Think of it like Attack on Titan. Imagine if humanity somehow reduced the number of titans but got rid of their weapons. What you gonna do? Die? Well, no, because Yuji freaking Itadori steps in and says it's gonna be okay, as he will be there to protect the world. He is the strongest and no one will be able to defeat him. Instead, as society grows, Yuji will establish a new countermeasure with the next generation. The amount of curses that will be born every year will be countable on one hand, so the balance between the sorcerers and cursed spirits will be better in the long run. In a way, Yuji is resetting the Jujutsu world, trimming it down to only a handful of individuals. The current sorcerers won't be erased, which means techniques can be preserved, cursed objects can be passed down, and a new smaller power structure can evolve naturally. This would create another power scaling system for a Jujutsu Kaisen spin-off!
You're joking. Not another one?
Yes guys, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have some sort of new generation where they'll be using cursed objects rather than cursed energy and techniques. Almost like how Fire Force ended up with Shinra reshaping the world, setting the foundation for Soul Eater's universe. But just when it sounds like Yuji has solved everything, Maru interrupts him with another issue about ideology. Come on, give us a break. In his eyes, because the cursed spirits wouldn't be completely erased, humans and Sumerians will still believe in different things. The entire objective was to eliminate curses completely, because the Sumerians don't view them as monsters. They see them as Kalyans, sacred beings tied to their belief system. If curses continues to exist, even in small numbers, the Sumerians would naturally want to protect them, and that alone would spark tension. But don't worry, because Yuji creates another Deus Ex Machina. Instead of only harmonizing humans and the Lemurians, Maru should extend his technique to cursed spirits as well. If the goal is true balance, then you don't just regulate one side of the equation. You have to address the root of what makes curses resemble Kalyans in the first place. Yuji explains that cursed spirits are labeled evil because they are born from negative emotion, but that doesn't mean everything that resembles a curse is inherently malicious. He brings up Tengen not being evil, who began as a human and evolved into something closer to a curse. Then there's Choso, a cursed human hybrid. By nature, he should have been a monster, yet he was the best loving brother he could have ever imagined. So Yuji questions, why do the Kalyans attack some people but not the Lumerians? And since they are in the soul realm, everything essential to the plan is symbolized like toys. That's when Maru looks deeper into the Kalyan's soul, and amongst the many colors, he sees something shocking. They share the same hue, which means cursed spirits always had a soul, but because their vessel were made from negativity, they enacted upon their primal instinct, which made them evil. To understand this better, just think this specific colored soul can reincarnate into 3 types of vessel. Number 1, the alien Lumerians. Number 2, the Kalyan beast. And number 3, cursed spirits. Since they are all the same, they won't attack each other. This also explains why an evolved cursed spirit like Jogo would show empathy to his own kind in Hanami and cry. If they were truly evil, then even familial relations wouldn't matter. He wanted a world where curses could live openly, where they weren't hunted like pests, a world where their kind could exist without fear. This even goes back to Hana Kurusu's backstory. As a child, she was held captive by a cursed spirit that behaved almost like a distorted mother figure. It fed the children and kept them alive, but it also killed those who cried or complained. It showed that cursed spirits can develop roles resembling nature, but the vessel was born from negativity, so the mother instinct became possessive and violent. So this is where another foreshadowing is given that there will be a spin-off, especially since Yuji has 300 more years to live. Now here things get very interesting, because Maru admits it's impossible to repaint the color of souls, but there is a way to fix things, which also addresses the problem of the souls that are yet to be born. Yep, don't worry guys, Gege has given Maru the power of plot convenience. He has answered everything. Maru doesn't plan to just affect the current souls, but also the pathway itself, where they cross before coming to Earth. He will remodel this realm so when the soul pass through the cycle of samsara, their colors will scatter, their shapes will be adjusted, and their cursed energy will be erased as much as possible. My guy's basically just remodeling the pathway where souls cross into Earth and making sure that they get filtered properly, alright? But in doing so, all the Kalyan soul and the human soul will be mixed up together, meaning that they will truly be one. And that's why this screams spin-off potential, because Yuji has 300 more years to live. If he becomes the guardian of this new system, we're looking at an entirely reshaped Jujutsu world and a completely different power hierarchy. But now that the yapping is all over, we can finally head back to Dabura versus Mahoraga. Wait, what? What just happened? He did a domain expansion. Gege, please don't do this. We don't even know his ability. You hyped us and now it's off-screen. Gosh dang it.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Well, apparently, Maru defiled his pride as a warrior as he interrupted the fight, preventing Yuka's death. But Dabura claims it's fine, because the only reason he was fighting in the first place was to fulfill his best friend's wish. With Maru telling him that he's happy, Dabura claims his role is over. He fulfilled his promise to Dura, and now even understands what it means to be a warrior due to Mahoraga. But most importantly, he can go back home with his sister, because Maru, using his teleportation hacks, took Dabura to Kenya to get the black rope Osami was talking about. You know, the one which can nullify any and all curse techniques. Yep, his sister was cursed by the discontent chief, and with this tool, it's finally removed. Now nothing chains him to listen to the corrupt higher up. He can finally fulfill the dreams of coexistence on his own planet, like Dura wanted when he did his speech about it before dying. Imagine Dabura going back and now teaching everyone domain expansion, reversal, and RCT. No one over there would be able to stop him, and over centuries, just like planet Earth, he's going to be the catalyst that will change the age of sorcery and balance forever. Even on Earth, domain expansions did not have lethal attacks as explained by Tengen. It was over time that culture changed. Well, now Dabura is going to be that warrior for the Sumerian planet, and since he promises to see Maru again one day, maybe centuries in the future, he will visit Yuji and everything will become intergalactic at that point. Another thing to note is how much Maru has evolved. In a matter of seconds, he has become a godlike figure that can locate anything at will. In chapter 16, Maru stated things would have been different if the curse could be undone with the black rope, but there's no time for that. That line implied either the rope is inaccessible or obtaining it isn't realistically possible in their current situation. But somehow in chapter 23, they casually obtain it. So naturally the question becomes, if Maru's curse technique is advanced enough to locate a literal planet in deep space, how could he not search for an artifact on Earth? Especially when he had access to the mothership and a full month passed after Cross's injuries. So during those 30 days, Maru never tried using his technique to track his solution, even out of desperation? And if his curse technique awakens under emotional pressure, wouldn't his twin dying be the ultimate trigger? But you know, let's not question these things, because as it stands, it feels like the pacing of the last two chapters have broken the necks of the readers to even understand all the context. Bro magically figured out a plan when Rika's soul appeared in front of him. I was theorizing that maybe Rika informed him how to do all of this, but that's not even explained. Regardless, after sending his best buddy Dabura and his sister back home, he then manipulates the soul of Yuka, Cross, Usami, and Tsurugi, healing them completely. Maru then parts ways with Yuji and moves forwards with the next phase of the plan. But hold on, there's something nobody is talking about. What about Mahoraga's ritual? Maru healed Yuka's brain cancer. Dabura's fight got interrupted, but the ritual had a condition. It clearly stated that only Yuka's death, Dabura's death, or Mahoraga's destruction would end it. So, did it just stop off screen? Because if neither of them died and Mahoraga wasn't confirmed destroyed, then technically the ritual should still be active, which means there's unfinished business. And let's not forget, Yuji literally said he would clean up the mess. So if the ritual is still ongoing and Prime Yuji steps into the battle, we might be looking at Prime Yuji versus Mahoraga next chapter. Gege, you're onto something here. I knew you. Come on, man. Gege, give me some applause. But now Maru has to do something unforgivable, something his people will hate him for. He has to get rid of all cursed spirits and help them leave Earth, together with his brother and his new family in Yuka and Tsurugi. They hold hands to perform the first step for peace. In a matter of seconds, every curse in existence is obliterated. Tears leak out of their third eye, and with his Care Bear friends, they create harmony.